This is Morganiki, and today I have got something very bizarre, shall we say. I had seen these previously on the internet and they were being sold by a specialist company. Once you factored in shipping and all that sort of thing, they were about 20 quid, 15 at the cheapest. I found this in my local B&M's for $6.99, which I still think is a little bit too much for it, but even so, the novelty of it was just too much to resist. It is a pimple popper. Yeah. I believe it's being touted about as one of those, you know, stress relief, sensory play type thing. It is essentially a big chunk of, well, skin-coloured rubber, I presume, and you get a bottle of fake pus. You can then fill up these little holes and, as the picture so demonstrates, squeeze the pus out. But as the picture does demonstrate, I doubt the rubber is going to turn convincingly red and swollen like actual human flesh, because that would be a miracle of modern science. Fill and pop again and again, and then it has it in French as well. Pus refill formula, 5 millilitres or 0.52 ounces. So, how do we do it? We heat. There's a picture of a microwave. We put it in the microwave? No, I think you just put the pus in the microwave. Okay. Can't say I've ever put pus in the microwave, but there's a first time for everything. Fill. The little like syringy thing, presumably that is part of the lid. And then you pop. Though essentially you won't be popping, you will be squeezing, because the true satisfaction of popping spots comes from when the pus ruptures this little layer of skin that is on the top, and that is what makes them pop. So we're essentially squeezing spots that have already been popped, if you like. Made by Zuru, whoever they are a new one. It's pretty basic, isn't it? Wash your hands before and after you use it. Don't put it in your gob, don't eat it, don't use on porous surfaces, squeeze contents from base within 1 hour of filling for best effect, blah blah. It doesn't actually say for how long I'm to put said pus in the microwave, but hopefully on the inside of the packaging there will be an answer. So, to the microwave. So it did actually have instructions on it. Microwave, it says, on a medium heat for 2 minutes. Now this microwave is absolutely mental, and it always makes everything like way hotter than it should, so I'm going to knock it down a little bit more than it says actually. And yeah, we will microwave a bottle of pus. As you do. Right, so there's our pound of flesh. It's satisfyingly rubbery, and it makes horrible squishy noises. It's also not a pound, it's about 200-300 grams. It's about the weight you'd expect, and you can do that with it, which I'm going to do again because it's very satisfying. Oh yes. And I've got a bottle of hot pus. Please don't quote me out of context. I know it's really easy and I know it's really tempting. Alright, so you've got this. You've got the lid off it. You also have this pipette, supposedly for filling it. But the instructions do say you can either use this pipette or you can just shove the nozzle in the holes. Again, stop quoting me out of context. Before this was microwaved, I don't know if you can tell, it's changed colour. You see how it's sort of darker at the top, darker at the bottom, lighter at the top. It was like a wax, I suppose. Once it's got heated, it's still not massively hot, I wouldn't say. It's warm, it's not hot. Before it was heated, it was more or less solid. Now, it's not so. How do you know when you filled your holes enough? Aside from the fact it's going absolutely everywhere. How do you know? This is not an instant toy by any means. If you have very impatient children who are wanting to play with it more or less straight away, it's not going to happen. Okay, now I see why they provide you with this pipette. The problem with this is it is essentially a wax, okay? So the bottom of it melts, and then the top of it solidifies. The top of it solidifies and creates a wax seal over the squeezable part. You may be able to see there's quite a lot of solid around the top, and thus it gets clogged. So the pipette is probably the more efficient method here, although I did initially mock it. I'm going to use it. And this pus solidifies very quickly in the air. Okay, I've got a couple of the holes filled up, so now it's time to give it a squeeze, see how it feels, see how it looks. We'll start with this one I believe I filled, so press. Oh, marvellous. Oh, more's coming, more's coming! Ah! Ah! Wow, you can fit a lot in there, can't you? Quite a lot. And still more. I feel they missed a trick here. I mean, there's plenty of pus, but there's no blood. Anyone who previously or still does suffer with acne, turn the paw inside out and all the pus comes out like that, will know that there's usually quite a considerable amount of blood involved. Marvellous. So that's how much pus you can fit essentially into one of the paws. Don't really think I've ever produced that much personally from my face or any other body part. Yeah, when it dries, it is essentially a wax, so theoretically, if you keep it clean, you could reuse it. You could put it back into the bottle and remelt it. Presumably, they would rather you bought refills and all that, but I'm all about being economical. It also solidifies in the air very fast, which brings me back to the pipette. As you can see, the pipette is completely full of pus, and I have no idea how to get it out. It sucked up the liquefied pus pretty easily, it went in the holes pretty easily, but now I'm sort of stuck with this mess, and I don't know how to deal with it. Basically. But I'll collect all of my little pus there in a ball, potentially put it back in the bottle for later. Again, this has just been sat here room temperature for about 2 minutes, and it's all just solid wax again. Which other ones did I fill? I didn't fill them all because, quite frankly, it is a bit of a nightmare. I like the idea in theory. This feels pretty realistic. It feels when you're actually squeezing it and it's coming out. Where's my viewfinder? I'm just imitating the screams of agony that the person who is being squeezed will no doubt be doing. Personally, those are the noise I make, especially if it's on my lip. Yeah, I'm 27 and I still get acne. Though I do have polycystic ovarian syndrome, so that could be a reason for that. I didn't put as much in that one. I like this. The rubbery skin sort of material is very well made. It is pretty fun. It's fun, and you know, it's oddly satisfying, like watching the videos of pus being squeezed. Personally, they don't get me off anymore. I've had to move on to bigger and harder things. Just go to YouTube search bar as soon as my little ending jingle comes on and do a search for cow, or if you prefer, horse boil lancing. That is pus. Literal buckets. There was one video I watched that filled literally 2 12-litre buckets of pus from a cow's leg. If that's your sort of thing, hopefully I have enlightened you. Let's squeeze this one. Oh, this one actually feels... you can feel the give in the skin, if you like, because it doesn't want to come out. It doesn't want to come out. Ah. Ah. If you want more realistic experience of spots that are quite hard to squeeze, only put a little bit in, and then you've really got to give it some force. So there's all of the there's the pus we have amassed. I may put that back in the bottle. I don't know how I'm going to clean that pipette, but I'm sure I can put it back in the bottle for future squeezing adventures if you like. So yeah, if you really want one of these, B&M. They're in the kids' toy section. They're right next to like all the princessy play castles and all that sort of thing. Perfect product placement there, B&M.